Hello, my name is Archibald Chesterfield III. I'm a YouTube entertainer and celebrity, and I'd like to thank you for watching this video. Hi guys, Archie Luxury channel and the Poor Pluta channel. Please sponsor me on Patreon. The only way I can survive this tough times where YouTube revenue is in the shitter is by the support of my viewers. If I don't get the support, it's lights out. Showtime. It's over, fuckers. Because without support from the fans and viewers, it's very hard for me to make content. Turn the light back on for Archie. Sponsor me on Patreon, fuckers. Sponsor me on Patreon, and I'll make sure I keep making the best content I possibly can. Hello, Poor Pluta channel. Remember, like, subscribe, and tell your friends about my channel. This is a video for Robert. Hi Archie, I've owned a Rolex Explorer 1 for several years now and love it. The classy, understated Rolex with heritage. It's my daily beater. For a long time, I've also wanted something a little more upper class, although not a full dress watch, something classy but casual. I went to look for a Reverso and watched hours of your videos and then spent months browsing Chrono 24. Because I wanted something special, some complications, a display case back, and I wanted just the right one. Finally, it was clear to me that the absolute sweet spot for such Reversos is the steel Reverso that Archie Luxury has, the Reverso Grand Date. So that's what I recently got, and it is amazing. You have impeccable taste, Arch. Attached is a picture of my small collection. I also have an old Jaeger-LeCoultre steel dress watch from the 60s. Nice, but nothing special. Would appreciate if you could review my small collection and give advice as to where to take it next. Donation underway. Thanks, Robert. Robert, thank you so much for those super kind words. And I gotta tell you, it's very interesting. Before I did this video, I stopped and I loaded the email you sent me requesting this review so that I could see a picture of what your two-piece collection looks like. And here's my Reverso Grand Date. And I gotta tell you, I got it on the black, shiny alligator Jaeger-LeCoultre strap. I love this strap. Now, let's have a look here. You've got a very interesting... I looked at this photo, and sometimes, you know, people send me collection photos and think, oh yeah, righto, right on. But I gotta tell you, yours just really pops. And it brought back memories of my Explorer 1. I had the 1016 plastic Explorer 1 just before the model changed the 14270, and I've got to tell you, that is such a cool watch. It is so damn cool. And you've got two really gorgeous pieces, the Explorer 1 and the Reverso Grand Date. And I got to be honest with you, I mean, the Explorer 1, that was my first Rolex. My first, you know, I had an Omega Seamaster Quartz before that. Not a James Bond, one of these pissy fashion thingies. And then the Rolex came. It was my first, first expensive proper watch. And I got to tell you, I really do miss that watch dearly. In my case, I could never, I kind of am too smart-assy for myself. Like, I actually really love the proportions, the way the Explorer 1 looks. I think it's just a classic watch. I mean, it's a sports watch. There's no question of that. It's a sports watch, but it can be a dress watch, because a dress watch is elegant, simple, classic. It's just perfect. The Explorer 1, Ian Fleming, the guy who wrote the James Bond story, the novels, he wore a 1016 Explorer 1, which is, it's like your Explorer 1 except the 1950s, 60s version of it. And I got to tell you, looking at your two-piece collection, that is a really cool collection. Explorer 1 and a Reverso Grand Date. And, I look at many watches. What happened was, I went into Brisbane Vintage Watches, now called Vintage Watch Co. And one of the guys there, Fred, was wearing this Reverso. And I just loved it. Fred's an older, bigger sort of guy. He's not a small guy, he's a bigger guy. And it was just magic. On his wrist, it was absolute magic. And as I tell the story, I'm just going to wind my Reverso up a little bit more. And I said, wow, that's beautiful. What is it? He told me it's a Reverso. It's a Jaeger-LeCoultre Reverso Grand Date. Very Aussie guy. Really cool guy. Really clever guy, Fred. And I said, Fred, if you want to sell it, I'll give you $1,000 more than you paid for it. It's not about money. It was about just a beautiful watch. Just absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And I mean, there's more complicated Reversos. You could say, oh, the calendar, or the sun moon, or the tribute to 19th. But this was one I looked at and I thought, geez, that is just absolutely beautiful. And I got to tell you, the Explorer 1 is a similar watch. It's just no date, 369, simple, elegant. And I got to tell you, both of those watches there themselves, both of those watches have such classic characteristics. Like they are both sports watches, because the Reverso came out in the 30s for polo players in India. Yeah, the story's been told. Then it's become a dress watch. It's sort of what the genre it exists in now. But it was originally a sports watch. You could say the same thing about the Explorer 1. It was originally a sports watch. Sir, to get to the Mount Everest, that was the Mount Everest model. The Explorer 1. Sir Edmund Hillary took the Explorer to Mount Everest. That's the kind of the history behind it. And it's simple, it's elegant, it's so cool. Now, the two-piece collection you got, I love it. I look at that and think, oh, geez, that is just so, well, three-piece. You've also got the old Jaeger-LeCoultre steel. It's funny, Jaeger-LeCoultre in the 60s was never as prestigious as the brand today. So now they're kind of really known for high-end watchmaking. They were a top movement maker. And I've got to tell you, those two pieces, the Explorer 1 and the Reverso Grand Date, what a wonderful collection to have. What would I add? It's interesting you say that, because in my own case, I've added an Explorer 2 to replace the Explorer 1. I kind of see that as the natural progression of the Explorer 1, Explorer 2. What would I add? And that's a very interesting thing. What would you add? Because you've got a really nice two-piece combo deal happening. So it's something you don't want to just jump in willy-nilly. But let me say this. I would say iconic pieces, you would have to consider the Omega Speedmaster Man on the fucking Moon. I mean, it's a fantastic chronograph. Manual wind chronograph, iconic. It sort of follows on from those two pieces. So you'd have your Reverso, and you could have your Explorer 1, Reverso, and Speedmaster. Now, it depends what genre you really want to push here. Because, look, I give advice, but you got to follow where your heart lies. Just because I say, do this, doesn't mean you have to follow my advice. I'll tell you a very gorgeous piece I just got is an IWC Ingenua. And I got to tell you, this really reminds me of the old Explorer 1 days. It was such a cool watch. And this is also quite cool, but it's bigger. It's done in an IWC way. So I would say these are pretty good buying. You can buy them pretty well. $3,500 to $4,000 US. And it's something that it's got a lot of characteristics of those other two in your collection. I mean, the IWC is a unique piece. This is a Gerald Gentra designed piece. Very classic. It goes from the 50s Ingenua, which was the original Ingenua. It's got that progression. It's classic icon. It's a little bit off center, you know. It's not like mainstream. A little bit off center, a little bit off kilter, and it's just a fantastic piece to love and behold. So I'd really say, what would I add to your collection? And I would say, you got to follow what you like. There's no point just listening to my advice. You got to follow what you like. But could you add either of those two? A Speedmaster Man on the Moon, or an IWC, an Ingenua? Very interesting indeed. And I think it's a great collection. You got two beautiful iconic pieces, and I looked at them and thought, oh wow, wowzers, what a nice collection. And that is what's important. You've got to love it yourself. If you love it, that is the most important thing. You've got to love your collection yourself. So well done. I really like it. That's a great collection too. The Explorer 1 and the Reverso Grande, absolutely stunning. Love it to death. I'm Paul Pluta, doing paid reviews on the Paul Pluta channel. Tell me what you guys think of that.
We specialize here in pre-owned Rolex watches. Rolex watch is a very special timepiece, and we always do the servicing exactly as factory specifications. We buy a pre-owned piece and we put it into brand new condition. We have Rolex certified technicians working on that. We completely disassemble the piece. We adjust and polish and change every single part of the watch.
You have to have certified watchmakers that know what they're doing. If you have an expensive car, you're just not going to bring it to any mechanic that doesn't know what they're doing.
You spend $5,000, it's like if you put money in the safe deposit box. And 1 or 2 years from now, you will keep having your $5,000. We have to spend a lot of money to get all this equipment together, but makes me feel I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. It's not a question of money, it's my passion.
Jewelers on time, simply the best.